Hey, what's up you guys? You're watching Team APS, and in today's video I'm going to address a very popular, controversial topic that I've been asked about quite a lot and a lot of other people have been talking about, and that's, is Yu-Gi-Oh! Dying? Is this the end? We've lost Dueling Network, we've lost Wigo Pro, people are threatening to quit, this and that. So after taking about a week to sort of collect my thoughts and flesh out any sort of just knee-jerk reactions, I think I've formed my opinions on it, and I'm ready to share it with you guys. I think this one should be good. So first, let's talk about the online simulators. If you've been living under a rock, Dueling Network and Wigo Pro have both gotten cease and desist orders. They've been taken offline. You can still, play Wigo Pro if you have it, but there's all the reason to believe that the servers might even go down at some point, and Dueling Network's gone too. A lot of people are very angry about this. They're distraught. These programs brought some really great things to the table. The ability to play test, and if you didn't have the money to build a deck, you could always play it online and see if you liked it and practice with it and then invest in the cards later. And a lot of people with the loss of these feel kind of hopeless, like, why play this game anymore? And I don't know. I mean, my opinions on this are probably a bit more controversial. I think it was only a matter of time. Yu-Gi-Oh! is Konami's intellectual property, and I'm not going to talk about the whole, was it Konami, was it not Konami, because at the end of the day, it kind of all ties back to that. It's an intellectual property. These programs from the start were copyright infringement. They were illegal. They are third-party simulators of, Yu-Gi-Oh! And as much as it, pains a lot of people to admit it, if you look at it in a mature, kind of level-headed way, that's what they were. So it was always a matter of, when, not if. I think we're lucky that Konami went this long, turning a blind eye to these things. So they're gone, and I'm not saying I'm glad that they are, but I think that we should just be mature about it. We've survived without these programs before. We'll make it. More than anything, it's just kind of important to look to the future, and I'm hoping that Konami will release a very good, solid, quality, polished, official first-party Yu-Gi-Oh! Simulator. If you want a good idea of what I think the simulator would be like, you should watch Tombox's video on, his thoughts on what he would like in a Yu-Gi-Oh! Online simulator. And if you want kind of more information about the loss of Dueling Network and Wigo Pro, you should actually watch Alinthio's video. He covered it in great detail, I think. So those are two videos actually you should just watch. Anyway, I'm not going to talk too much more about these. I think that the bigger question, the bigger elephant in the room is Yu-Gi-Oh! Dying? And in my opinion, it depends on where you look. I've heard so many mixed things. In my area, in my region, Texas, Louisiana, and a lot of kind of just the southern-ish places, I've seen decreased interest. A lot of scenes are shrinking. A lot of tournaments aren't getting as many people. Even, regionals and YCS events like YCS Houston, for example, that I was at, didn't get as many people as they traditionally do. So around here, maybe it would feel like it's dying. But then I've also heard, that this year's nationals, both in the United States and I think in Europe, actually had record numbers. So it's hard to say if Yu-Gi-Oh! Is truly dying. I think that a lot of people who are threatening to quit and saying that this game's dead are having knee-jerk reactions. If you look in the past, this is something that's always happened. We've always had controversial things happen. People hated when they didn't hit Inzectors and windups, but hit Plant Synchro and Agents in 2000 and early 2012. People hated Dragon Ruler Spellbook format. People hated when they changed the turn player, doesn't get to draw. People have hated, any major controversial fundamental game change that Konami makes, people will dislike it. I think that it's important to just stop and kind of look at the big picture a bit. As much as people say Konami is evil and hateful and they just despise the players and want this game dead and don't care, I mean, it's still around, isn't it? This game came out in 2002 here in the States, and we're going on nearly 15 years. I mean, it's still fine. It's still going strong. It's not as bad as I think people want to make it out to be. A lot of people who say they quit end up just still staying in the game. I've made videos, I made a video fairly recently about, the importance of just taking a break. I think that what more people need to do is just take a break from the game, take a step back and try to clear your head a bit and realize that it's all just a continuum. There will be ban lists, there will be formats that you're not satisfied with, there will be changes. You know, we will it was only a matter of time, like I said, until we lost Dueling Network and DevPro. These things happen, and that's just how it's going to be, but I don't think that it's the end of Yu-Gi-Oh! Because, I mean, I've played this game for too long to lose faith just because there's a bit of a pendulum swing. No, I really do think that, you know, this game will survive. There's no reason to think that it'll just die. Now, I do think that Konami should, in some ways, catch up to other card games. There are some real weaknesses that Yu-Gi-Oh! Suffered for far too many years, I think. You know, Magic the Gathering and Pokemon both have their online equivalents. I'm not sure about things like, you know, Force of Will and stuff. I know those are like newer games. But I think that for Yu-Gi-Oh! To be in kind of the holy trinity of card games, Pokemon, Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh!, it's a really suspicious absence for there not to be an official first-party simulator. So that's a gap I think that they need to go ahead and fill. And it's okay if it's monetized. Like, excuse me, I'm sick. Gotta make videos anyway. You know, I wouldn't mind like paying a subscription fee. It doesn't have to necessarily be free. But I think that as long as there's a quality, you know, consistent way to play this game online, on PC, not on like consoles or 3DS and things, you know, that to me like feels like a bit of a cornerstone of a modern trading card game. Now, talking about trading card games, I know people say trading card games in general have just kind of been losing a bit of steam lately, losing players. I don't want to point fingers, but I think that honestly Hearthstone has stolen a lot of trading card game players' attentions. You know, it's online, you know, there's no physical aspect to it, but it's easy to just get cards, hop in, you know. It's got an esports scene behind it that gets much better coverage. And speaking of that, you know, I don't think Yu-Gi-Oh's dying, but I think that I'm getting to my point, but I think that there are things that Konami is, like I said, missing. They're missing that online simulator. I think that they're missing good event coverage. That's something that Magic the Gathering and Pokemon sort of, that they do a really good job of that Konami's still kind of lacking in. You know, we still don't get, like, in my opinion, truly great coverage. They've been making good strides in terms of live streaming the larger events, but, you know, they could always go an extra step. I think that, you know, some type of player sponsorships could be cool. A more consistent circuit style series would be great. More interviews and dedicated deck profiles, perhaps collaborating with Yu-Gi-Tubers. You know, we still don't really get dedicated just deck lists. And, you know, when you look at it, that's just kind of a gaping hole. Like, Konami's got to do that. Other card games are doing that. And they also need to communicate more. You know, there's still this barrier between the players and Konami. I think that's where a lot of the bitterness and resentment comes from, is the fact that, you know, Konami doesn't communicate very much with the players at all. You know, ban lists can feel very like, we don't know when it's coming out, you know, we don't know when the next list will happen. We just kind of assume rough dates, and like if that's when it is, that's when it is. So I think that Konami needs to improve in communication. I think it needs to improve in coverage. I think there needs to be a simulator. I don't think that Yu-Gi-Oh's dying though. I mean, like, I think that there's too much exciting new stuff still coming out that people need to just focus on. Don't dwell on the negativity. And that's really an easy trap to fall into, I think, is, you know, DevPro and DN are gone, knee-jerk reaction, it's dying, let's all just sort of join the mob mentality of Yu-Gi-Oh is dead, and circle jerk. Just, you know, remember that we've been through worse, we'll get through it. There will be people who will go. I think that a critical component is going to be getting new, younger players into the mix. Because what the truth is it's not that like Yu-Gi-Oh's gotten worse really. It's just that, you know, people grow up. Like, and I think that as people get older and maybe more mature, the demands are changing a bit. Like, people, obviously it's a change in the times, right? Like, modern technology dictates that card games have an online component to them, and, you know, esports style coverage is becoming something that card games do too. So, you know, the rise of social media is also like means that card game like makers like Wizards of the Coast and, you know, the Pokemon Company have to communicate more with their players, and Konami feels a bit behind on that. But I think it's just because, you know, players are getting older, and so we expect more. But Konami's got to focus, I think, really on just getting some of the new blood, the young players, and that's going to be a real issue for them. I don't think that has so much to do with the trading card game exactly, but it's just it's not the anime's fault either. It's just people don't consume media the same way that they always have. So we aren't in a, you know, we're not in a wake up on Saturday morning to watch Yu-Gi-Oh! Era anymore. Nowadays, people, get on Netflix and Hulu, and that's where they watch their television and their movies. And so, Saturday morning cartoons, after school cartoons, I remember watching them that way, but that's not how it is. That's not how people get into Yu-Gi-Oh! And so I think that that's why, we see maybe fewer kids getting into Yu-Gi-Oh! Because, it's just, they don't see it as much. Saturday morning cartoons, at least with Yu-Gi-Oh!, it's not a thing anymore. And so, it's not that the animes are bad. I think everybody agrees Arc 5 is actually a really great anime, and I know a lot of people like it much more than Zexal, at least. But it's going to take Konami trying to find some sort of ways to reach out to new players. I was having a conversation about this with some people at my card shop, Chris and others, and somebody suggested that Konami needs to improve maybe just its pack structure. They've done a good job. I think they're making a foil guaranteed in every pack really helped. It increases that feeling of satisfaction and gratification when you buy a pack, so you're always going to get a super. But I think that, their structure decks and starter decks could be improved. Someone said they should include extra deck and side deck in these things, even if it's like, say, 10 cards and not 15. I think that would be a great way to get people straight into the competitive community. Imagine if, your structure deck included basic side deck cards. That would actually be really, really, really cool. So yeah, I just really do feel as though that's something that Konami is lacking in. The product structure could improve a bit. Make it easier to hop right into competitive play. And don't get me wrong, I mean the structures recently they've been great. But yeah, definitely something else they could improve on. So I think that the consensus here is that Yu-Gi-Oh! Is not dying, it's not dead. It can feel that way. I know that morale is very low, but I think that people just need to realize it's okay to move on from a card game. It's okay to quit if that's what you need to do, or take a break. I don't think, yelling, that it's dead, I'm quitting. I don't think that it's such a good thing to yell. I think that decreases the mood and the morale and the tone. I think that it will be fine. I just feel as though Konami does need to take some steps. They've got good stuff coming in the future. We've been through worse. It'll be fine. And there's cool new things. I'm interested in Spirals, for example, a new TCG exclusive archetype. And, I'm really excited for the movie. I just think that Konami needs to get on their ish and, improve the things like communication and coverage and that type of thing. So I guess my verdict here is no, I don't think Yu-Gi-Oh's dying, but I do believe that there are things it can improve on, things that Konami can work on. I'm sad to see, the loss of Dueling Network and DevPro, but I think that it was only a matter of time. They had to go at some point. Yeah, that's it. Let me know what you guys think. I know this is a very painful topic to talk about, but I think that we need to be more positive about it. And that's pretty much it. Share it in the comments. Be respectful of each other. I think we'll be fine. I think this time next year, Yu-Gi-Oh! Will probably be in a better place, and we'll have forgotten a lot of this if it ever happened. Anyway, check out TCG Player. They're my sponsor. Check me out on social media. You can buy a Team APS playmat. Details about all that are in the description of the video. Next month, I should be giving away a box of the Dark Illusion, so look forward to that giveaway. And it's creepy. I think that's it. So, all right, I've talked long enough. Bye, guys.